Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the channel. So we're here to talk about the Disney 20th Century Studios lawsuit with respect to Predator. The original script for the Predator, Jim and John Thomas, the Thomas brothers, were basically suing Disney. And we say Disney, it's not really Disney, but it is because they own 20th Century Studios, what was 20th Century Fox. So this is taking a really interesting turn now. And it's not that it's just done. It's not done, right? There's been an agreed dispute. They've agreed a dispute. They've resolved part of the dispute, but not the whole thing. It's very hush-hush. We don't really know what's going on. And I would imagine some palms have been greased. Just greased along the way, which, you know, I think Jim and John Thomas, I don't really want Disney to have Predator, like I've said that many times. I don't think they should have Alien either. So let's take a look at this. This is courtesy of our friends over at avpgalaxy.net. Do fantastic work, and they have shared this. So 20th Century Studios and the Thomas brothers settled copyright termination date dispute. So that is what's important. Is that they've only resolved the date in question. Now, what is this all over? Well, this is over Jim and John Thomas looking to get the copyright back to their original script, their original spec script. Now, that is under very standard copyright law, which now has further precedence to it, which we'll get to in a second. And what's the copyright law is after 35 years, the original author or authors can claim ownership once more. They can file for ownership again. And this is what Jim and John Thomas did. It's very standard. They're allowed to do it. It's working within the boundaries of the law, which has been established in the United States. Because that's important. In the United States. Now, they went to and fro. And then they ended up going to court and having a date scheduled for, I believe it was April this year. And what that court date was over the date at which the filing had taken place, and then subsequently when the copyright would go back to Jim and John Thomas, right? So it wasn't, Disney was stalling for time by the looks of it, which is, why I thought at the time they had then rushed into production, because it looked like they'd just gone, shit, we're going to lose the copyright, go. Predator 5, go. Just go and do it. Because it was literally overnight, boom, it's in production. They'd been scouting and stuff like that, but I think there was some rush to it. I don't think the whole production's been rushed, FYI, because that's been in production for a really long time. Production hell, you might say. But now it's just been settled, completely settled. So let's dive into the article specifically. It says, apparently, court will no longer be necessary in the legal battle over Predator. The jury trial, which was going to be a pretty big affair, it's not a small thing. They were going to properly go to court, have a jury, etc. And that was originally slated for the 19th of April, has been removed from the docket of the U.S. Central District Court of California due to both parties coming to an amicable resolution. So we'll touch on that in a moment, okay? Because that's, sure, fine. But the real interesting part here is it says, according to a report by Reuters, Disney's 20th Century Studios and creators Jim and John Thomas have settled, agreeing to drop their individual lawsuits filed against each other regarding when the Predator original screenplay Hunter should revert back to the writers. Now, so that's important, right? They're dropping the lawsuits against one another, which was regarding when Predator should revert back to Jim and John Thomas. When. Okay, not if, but when. So the article indicated that Mark Toberoff, attorney for the Thomas brothers, said in a Wednesday email that the parties had come to an amicable resolution. So what is the amicable resolution? Well, as AVP Galaxy note, say it is hard to be certain, because it is, because these newly competing lawsuits were never a battle of if the Thomas brothers were entitled to get the US copyright back to their Hunter screenplay. It was literally, the lawsuits were just a case of when. When would they get it back? So 20th Century Studios had previously acknowledged in their lawsuit that Jim and John Thomas were always entitled to get the copyright of their first Predator script back by saying the following. 20th Century does not dispute that Section 203 endows the Thomases with the right to terminate the grant. It contests only their premature exercise of that right. So, I think the timing of this is quite interesting as well. Clive Barker recently won the lawsuit for his rights to Hellraiser back, right? He now owns Hellraiser again. So that Hellraiser movie, which is, I believe it's actually finished production, that's going straight to Hulu, that's him. He agreed to do all of that. Then it also comes hot off the heels recently of the Friday the 13th lawsuit being completely settled, the original writer getting it back, and I believe it even went to, it sort of broached the time at which appeal could happen as well. So it's currently that's settled, it's done. So there are two pretty major precedents right now, which would put Disney obviously on the back foot in any potential lawsuit. Which is obviously why they're acknowledging, no, they definitely have the right to get that back, because it's pretty cut and dry, it's pretty difficult to argue with it. But it's interesting timing, personally. So AVP Galaxy posit, is this a settlement just about the date when the copyright reverts back to the Thomas brothers? And if so, when is that agreed upon date? Or did the two parties negotiate further than their lawsuit filings and perhaps struck a long-term deal between the studios and writers? Did 20th Century Studios perhaps buy the Thomas brothers out and will now retain 100% of the Predator rights? It's all very hard to tell. We just don't know the details of the settlement at this point. All we know is the original lawsuit filed by both parties over the Hunter spec script. Copyright termination date have now been dismissed, and this particular termination date dispute has been resolved. So that's the interesting thing here, isn't it, ladies and gents? Was there some palms that were greased? Did they just buy them out? There is the high potential chance that that has happened. The very, very high potential chance. In fact, I would say that that's almost the certainty. Because Disney wouldn't have wanted to lose this. Or they've just agreed, yeah, you can have it back, I don't know, after X, Y, and Z production of this and the rights. We'd retain the rights for merchandise. Something like that. They may have worked out a deal where, say, Jim and John Thomas get the script back, the rights back, but then as part of that deal, Disney, retains merchandise and licensing, and then the percentage goes to the Thomas brothers. We just don't know, but currently this is done. Until we hear any more news, we can, I guess, say that Disney, through 20th Century Studios, have retained the rights, because we don't know anything else, and we know they're still releasing their movie. So at this point in time, it would appear that it's been settled fully. Again, let's just guess here, and they're going to keep the rights. I hope that's not the case. I was actually rooting for the Thomas brothers in this instance, just because Disney, even under 20th Century Studios, they're just not the right fit for Predator. There's nothing that anyone's going to say that will convince me of that until I see the new film, and if it's any good, then that'll be the thing that convinces me. But what do you guys make of this? Because loads of people keep asking me about Predator news, and I always say, ladies and gents, I will always do videos and updates the moment I'm able to, the moment news drops. This dropped very late last night. I finished my stream and I was going night-night in bed. So this is an interesting one. But I do ask you guys, what do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. If you're new here, please do consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you don't get notified of the videos that I upload, then just make sure you check that bell notification icon. Just click it on to all. And you should get notified moving forwards. Also, ladies and gents, I've got a second channel which you might really like. It's down below in the description box. Please do check that out, along with my Twitter and my Instagram. But thank you all so much for watching, ladies and gents. Hope you have a great day. Take care.